I never played the first Wreckfest,
Boo!
and from what I've seen in reviews, it was my loss. The idea of Finnish-style junker racing was always appealing to me, and the Demolition Derby is a popular concept, a fiery, spectacular send-off to the machines that served their owners well. Or not so well. The latter ones are especially satisfying. I owned a couple of cars I'd gladly smash to pieces. And now Bugbear is saying that the sequel will be everything the fans loved, and more. An improved handling model, reach and detailed track designs, and improved physics. When it first hit early access, the content was shockingly scarce. You could even say it was more of a tech demo or an MVP or proof of concept.
Demos are free on Steam.
Yes, Sharkov, they are. This is Sharkov.
Gran Turismo is the best game ever made.
And that's enough of Sharkov. I'm starting to think she's only here because she bribed HR. As of today, which is early October, the game has seen several updates and added more cars, more tracks, and is showing potential. Just how much potential? That depends on many things. Let's pop the hood on this rust bucket and see if it's in fact the sleeper that will make shiny supercars drive off the cliff from embarrassment, or is it an actual hoopty through and through? Spoiler, I'm not sure even the developers know yet. The original Wreckfest released as Early Access too, so there's no surprises here, and you might mistake it for a demo, which it is. It reeks of work in progress stamped all over it. The menus are an afterthought. Hell, even the menu navigation is collateral here. It's pure, refined jankium when it comes to how it treats us players. You'll be surprised to learn that the button mapping and key binding process was a fool's errand and had to be left alone altogether as an exercise in frustration. Sharkov tried to remap keys once. She hasn't been the same since that day. I haven't wrestled with the menu this hostile since I tried to unsubscribe from Adobe. The game itself, however, is a lot less of an off-putting experience. As someone who played a lot of Forza Motorsport and Horizon games, I feel like Turn 10 and especially Playground Studios have pretty much nailed it. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. I mean, look at the braking physics in Horizon 4. But they're definitely moving in the right direction, and although Horizon 5 is not an improvement in every sense, it absolutely is in terms of driving mechanics. I'm pretty much convinced that if you're going for an arcadey sim that emphasizes physics as its main attraction, you better nail at least the driving part. What?
Gran Turismo nailed its driving.
Yes, it did, Sharkov, go away. Every time Sharkov speaks, somewhere a Logitech wheel starts making funny noises and loses calibration. And I'm somewhat happy to report that Wreckfest 2 feels pretty good. Oh, that's a wishy-washy statement, Breeze. Yeah, I know, but let me elaborate a little. So, you know how in Forza it's immediately apparent that the car is front, rear or four-wheel drive just by driving it? Here it's a little more muddy. Whenever a car starts sliding, you instinctively feel it, and it feels kinda right. It's a hard thing to convey convincingly without actually playing the game, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Yes, the loose surfaces in Forzas are always a mess in comparison to, say, dirt games, but at least you feel the difference in grip and weight transfer. Here it's a lot less pronounced. The tires are almost constantly smoking when cornering, but should they smoke this much when the grip is still mostly there? Are these tires auditioning for a vape convention? I don't know about you, but in my experience, even when the rubber is starting to squeal for mercy, there's barely ever any smoke at that point. And shouldn't the dust clouds be thick on the dirt, sand and gravel tracks? It looks as if we're drifting, when in fact we're just balancing between gripping and sliding. Watching skilled players that post impressive times while racing online was a little disappointing. Thing is, you need to slide to be fast and start going sideways way before you enter a corner. So basically in the braking zone. Call me crazy, but that's not how they drive fast in WRC. Yes, they rotate by sliding into corners, but not this much, especially on tarmac. So maybe it's me being a dum-dum, or maybe the driving physics are leaning into the Need for Speed realm. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. What?
Maybe you just suck at driving games.
Maybe you're a talking fish that is physically incapable of driving. And this takes me to the feel of the weight. It's probably my biggest gripe with Wreckfest 2. Now I know all of this is completely subjective and unscientific, but I'm convinced I'm not the only one who feels this way. The way even heavier cars, like say the newly introduced Nova, are losing speed when they start to slide is reminiscent of go-karts. Yes, they should decelerate just like a go-kart, but not as intensely. There's a lot more momentum to a 2-ton car than a tiny go-kart, you know? The grip-to-weight ratio is completely different. So in my stupid humble opinion, bugbears should somehow add more momentum to at least their heavier cars, so they feel more realistic. As of now, the brakes are for losers. That also translates to nudging, bumping into, and outright ramming and T-boning each other. It feels wrong to be able to affect a camper van's course this much in a Fiat 500 Mini Cooper hybrid, or even a Mark II Golf. The difference in weight, even on a loose surface, should make it feel almost impossible, and yet, it's easier than finding an unfunny comedian on YouTube. Neither should be easy. No, Sharkov! All those problems aside, the feel is not bad. I'd call it decent and serviceable. You're in control, and when that goes, it doesn't come across as ridiculous or completely unrealistic. But let's be honest here, the driving model is a secondary thing in a game like this. What comes first is the looks and the damage model. Well, the looks are definitely here. Wreckfest 2 is nothing short of an eye candy. And as for the damage model, it's not perfectly accurate, obviously, but it's believable enough to be fun. And that's what really counts. The scrapyard looks especially impressive, combining vast distances of the desert and the tight Nightmare on Elm Street inspired maze of car frame stacks. All this geometry is very eye-catching, to say the least. The recently added Euro tracks are no slouches too. One is very Scandinavian and is almost entirely flat, with the scenery that fits its theme perfectly, and the other one is less obvious in its origins but definitely unique and offers impressive verticality that in itself puts a cool spin on the carnage that transpires in almost every corner. Especially in the first few corners, where your objective is basically to survive. And if you're into this kind of racing, you will not be disappointed.
My typical drive to work.
You cannot drive, Sharkov. She failed the tutorial in Euro Truck. Pulling off questionable and outright devilish moves that will grant you half a minute and penalties in any other racing game will instead bestow you with points and the name of the sly move you just did. Congratulations, you bastard. It's especially satisfying, at least to me, to take vengeance on those who dared to try one of these cheeky moves on me, regardless if they were successful or not. The AI is actually pretty good at these shenanigans, and that adds to the fun, because it doesn't go into annoying territory of dive bombing and pit maneuvering you into the shadow realm at every opportunity. Come to think of it, that could be a pretty cool scenario to turn the race into an actual chase where the AI is basically hunting you, like all of them online lobbies. So in other words, bot skills are pretty good, both in driving as well as offense and defense. And an E46 BMW should have number 46. Missed an opportunity here, Bugbear. I love that car. I picked up both my kids from the hospital in one of these. It's also worth noting that the game's performance is buttery smooth. There aren't any starters or frame drops even when there's a pile-up of biblical proportions transpiring on the screen. In games like this, it puts that finishing cherry on top. So call it a demo, but at least it's a polished one. Small things like time gaps are very welcome, and hopefully the upgrading and customization are due for their triumphant return, because as of now your options are limited to painting body parts and wheels. The showcase of physics in the demo area is cool and impressive, but we're way past the times of stunts for MS-DOS where you were to entertain yourself.
I can play this game forever.
Nowadays we need goals and a checklist of tasks to complete. Without those, there's little satisfaction to be had. Add some cosmetic rewards on top and you'll please the obsessive among us. And that's what Wreckfest 2 is missing entirely at the moment. Hopefully there's a career mode that ticks all of those boxes in the future.
Things like a brand new livery designer, car upgrade systems, career mode, modding tools. These are still in development, and when complete, this game will be a blast.
But I've been burned a few too many times to tell you that I trust Bugbear.
Yeah, work in progress.
However, I see passion here, and it will be a tragedy if it all goes to waste. Those guys are awesome and hilarious.
And under the hood, things are cooking hotter than my grandma's cookies. Mummo, you were the greatest.
The only two game modes available are Circuit Racing and Destruction Derby. It would be great to see more creative modes in the future, like point A to point B racing with a handicap or making sure one car crashes while a certain car wins. As I already said, the potential is here. The toys are fun to smash. What we need now is at least a glimpse of that creativity to fuel our appetite. Bugbear Edit will support, which is obviously a welcome feature, but in my opinion it shouldn't be their first priority. How about adding some stats to the car selection screen?
Judge by yourself. Experiment.
I'm lazy, Sharkov. Just tell me which one accelerates the best. Judging from Steam reviews, people are enjoying the core mechanics and the presentation, but the community isn't there yet. And that, like it or not, could make or break the game these days. Which is ironic because the game itself is about breaking things. Not listening to your customers is a surefire way to success. Or is it the other way around? All of their current players are basically their backers at this point, and although they do have a publisher, I hope it's not one of those projects that depend solely on the amount of people willing to fund it. Because if it is, I'm afraid I see some dark clouds on the horizon. There's a very fine balance to Wreckfest 2. It's not a demolition derby clone. It's more of a racing game with robust damage simulation and loose-ish rules that could spell disaster online, because people are complaining for being banned. I mean, even if they deserve a punishment, are you entirely convinced that outright banning your already small audience is the right policy? How about putting them in a concrete fenced pen for a minute with the rest of the offenders right next to the tracks so that everyone can see each other and feel like they're participating in something? It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but I'm sure that there are better ways than just banning players that want to play your game online. Now, naturally, I got purposely rammed head-on in my first race and then troll pushed by the same guy. He got banned in the end. The admin said it was a permaban, but later when I questioned the rationale of such conduct, they told me that bans were temporary. So basically, justice is served, reheated and microwaved again. I don't know about you friends, but to me it sounds concerning. Maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion. I hope I am. I can think of one cool idea turned into a cool tech demo turned into a monster. But hey, at least they have something to show for it and didn't just slip into the night silently like so many others.
If you ever speak ill of Star Citizen again, I'll bite your head off.
So would you guys say that was wishy-washy? I guess it kinda was, but I think it's reasonable in this particular case. It's hard to sound confident when your main comparison point is a game that might exist later. This glorified demo of great potential is currently on Steam sale sporting a 20% discount, so some of you might be tempted. I'd recommend it with a big asterisk. If you're okay with buying a solid tech demo and small sandbox to crash some virtual cars in, then go for it. It's cheaper than therapy, I guess. But if you expect to get an actual racing game that was made with career and progression in mind, then steer far clear. It's a promising broth, but the cook is definitely still not done here, and I hope he's hard at work and brimming with ideas and not just planning to rug pull us poor seps. I know it's just $30 with 20% off, but for the same price you can actually get a full-fledged game that's a complete package, and there are no ifs and buts attached. I hope that at the very least you enjoyed this one, and I hope I've helped you make a decision. For those of you who already squeezed the trigger on Wreckfest 2, hang in there. I see the talent and hard work that's been put into this game. It'd be a travesty if this diamond in the rough doesn't get a fitting cut of an exciting career and get set in a nice ring of intuitive and snappy interface. Otherwise, we'll add it to the endless naughty list. It's up to you, Bugbear. Godspeed.
Yes, good luck.